Hi, good morning. Hi, Jacob John here. Good morning. I know it's hard to see me. I knew this wasn't going to be the best video, but I'm basically just going to read this story, and you can listen to my voice a little bit. So, today's story is called God's Messenger. And this is the story of Noah and the big fish from Jonah 1-4, Hebrews 1:1-2. So this is from the Old Testament, and this is the story of Jonah and the whale. God had a job for Jonah, but Jonah didn't want it. Go to Nineveh, God said, and tell your worst enemies that I love them. No, said Jonah, those are bad people doing bad things. Exactly, said God. They have run far away from me, but I can't stop loving them. I will give them a new start. I will forgive them. No, said Jonah, they don't deserve it. I'll run away, Jonah said to himself. Far away, so far away that God won't be able to find me. Then I won't have to do what God says. It's a good plan, he said, because as far as he knew, it was a good plan. But of course, it wasn't a good plan at all. It was a silly plan. Because you can run away from God, but he will always come find you. Jonah went ahead with his not very good plan. One ticket to not. I'm having trouble reading for a second. 1 second. Jonah went ahead with his not very good plan. One ticket to not Nineveh. Oh, because God sent him to Nineveh, so he was a ticket to not Nineveh. Please, he said, and boarded a boat sailing in the very opposite direction of Nineveh. Well, it wasn't long before a fierce wind blew, and the boat started to lurch and pitch and roll, and everyone started turning green. Noah sat bolt upright in his bed. You see, the first thing that went wrong with Noah's not very good plan was that God sent a big storm after him. The sailors couldn't sail their ship properly. We're sinking, they screamed and started throwing everything overboard, suitcases, food, whatever they could find. But now Noah knew that the storm was his fault. Throw me in instead, he shouted to the sailors, and the storm will stop. The sailors weren't sure. It's the only way you can be saved, Jonah cried. And so, 1, 2, 3. Splash! No sooner had Jonah hit the water than the waves grew calm, and the wind died down, and the storm stopped. Just then, Jonah thought it was all over. When he was sure he was going to drown, God sent a big fish to rescue him. The fish swallowed Jonah whole with a big gulp. I get excited because God sent me a big fish every now and then to save me. Jonah must have thought he died. It was so dark in there, like a tomb, and it smelled like rotting food, and felt the slimy seaweed, and knew he wasn't dead. He was in the belly of a fish. Sitting there in the darkness for 3 whole days, Jonah had plenty of time to think. Pretty soon he realized his plan was, well, a very silly plan indeed. He was sorry for running away. He prayed to God from inside the great fish and asked God to forgive him. Please, God, forgive me. That's what I want. I just want forgiveness, and I want to start over. And I think I have been forgiven. I think you have given me a new start. It's hard for me to forgive myself. After 3 days, the fish spat Jonah safely out onto the sandy beach. Just then, Jonah heard someone calling his name. Go to Nineveh, God said, and this time, Jonah said yes. He went straight to Nineveh and told everyone God's wonderful message. Even though you've run far away from God, he can't stop loving you, Jonah told him. Run to him, so he can forgive people. The people of Nineveh listened to Jonah, and they started loving God. They learned to do what God said and stopped running away from him, just like Jonah. Many years later, God was going to send another messenger with the same wonderful message. Like Jonah, he would spend 3 days in utter darkness
But this messenger would be God's own son. He would be called the Word because he himself would be God's message translated into our own language. Everything God wanted to say to the whole world in a person.
The end. So that's the story of Jonas and the whale. So it's basically, you better do what God asks you to do, you know. So we all have our place in life where we have to do what we have to do. So I'm a dad, so every day I have to get up and I have to worry about getting my daughter to heaven. And that's my goal, and that's my job. And I have to take care of her physical needs and her spiritual needs. And when you're a child, then you have a job too. You have a job from God, and that's to listen to your mom and to your dad and to anybody that you're supposed to listen to. So that would be grandpa or grandpas or uncles or aunts or teachers or policemen or anybody else. And that's a very, very, very important job. God gives children very, very, very important jobs. And it's hard. It's a very hard job. It's a very, very hard job. But you can do it if you want. You can do it. All you have to do is choose. So, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I love you.